I was asked a question, where do you get all this stuff about the body? Answer, I have one. It is the environment in which I live. All you have to do is pay attention purely and simply. Something happens. There are all manners of the manifestation of law in that body. All levels of the manifestation of law within that body, within this body, because it is the same inside as outside. Law, 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 law. I mentioned about the Big Bang, or the Big, or the Big. At this point, things are so hot, they are not solid. So everything moves from a point, like so. What this is, because it is so fine, it creates flow, the first law of life. Flow, the first law of physical life. Let me say physical life. After that, all representations are about flow. Movement from point A on into infinity. Space flows. The scientists go, a few years ago, we looked at the Milky Way and we said, the universe. Then we got some bigger eyes and we looked, those stars way over there, well, you see, blah, blah, and they looked and they, oh my God, that's not a star. It's a galaxy. A galaxy? Wow. Well, let's look over here at this dark spot. Now that we have another bigger telescope coming, let's look at this dark spot. There's nothing over there. Let's see what passes through there. They focused on that dark spot, and what did they find? More galaxies, leaving red trails. What does that mean? Now, this is just about law now, okay? I'm coming back to that in a second, so you got to follow me. Don't get into your question. Don't get into that crap. Just follow. If I'm standing here, and you have a car coming this way, that car goes, the sound changes. As it hits this point, it begins to change. Now, if you film that with fast film, what do you think you find is that as the car is coming this way, it glows slightly blue. Bang. It begins to glow slightly red. It's called the Doppler effect. Law here, law there. We look at that and they're glowing red, which means what? It's moving away from you. Which means it's all expanding. Still expanding. Still flowing. Flowing. So above, so below. It is the law. You follow? The law is the law is the law. Now, we come down to something that fits inside of space. This planet. Now we got space, we got what started the whole thing, which is a finer vibrational frequency, which is consciousness, started the whole thing. Something so fine that you can't touch it. The next thing, boom, space, fine. Not as fine as consciousness, but the next step down. Now you come down, if you come down to the planet, what's the next thing that flows? Air. Water. The earth itself flows. We look at the body. Blood flows. If the blood doesn't flow, you die. Okay? You have a system that feeds everything, just like a river on the planet. The water flows on the planet to different areas to provide nourishment for different areas of the planet. The blood does the same way. Look at the arteries and veins. It flows the same way into all these artery beds. If you look at capillary beds, if you look at the beds along rivers, the deltas, where everything is kind of out like that and it's kind of mushy and stuff. The very air that you breathe. If you look at the lungs, you have the lungs, it's called the bronchioles, are called the thoracic bronchial branch or thoracic bronchial tree. It's the same thing. It branches and into the lungs and branches the same way so that air flows. So what you see is that flow, 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 the law. Now, you can feel the flow. You can feel the flow. Not only can you feel the flow of your blood and the air, but you can feel the flow of the energy in your body. You can feel the flow of the energy around you. If you don't become dead by blah, 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 blah. All we can see is blah, 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 blah. About generally nothing that is beneficial to us, but many things that are hurtful to us. The negativity, the hurtful things that destroy our pure feeling, that destroy the purity of our being. And we become these sick, maniacal creatures. Non-evolved, sick, maniacal creatures. Everything flows. Listen. You will hear those things and those people and things that were with you that are no longer with you whisper to you. You will hear things of yourself that you are unaware of whisper to you. One of the reasons that I encourage people to answer your own question, I don't answer questions about what should I do about my job? I don't know. It's not my problem. What you have to do is solve. What one must do is take absolute responsibility for yourself. If you make a mistake, you make the mistake. And if you make the mistake, you learn. You learn, you then flow. If you decide, do not make that mistake again. It's okay to make mistakes. But if you're making the same mistake 3 times, you got a habit. It's not a mistake. You did it intentionally. You made the same decision. Definition of insanity: doing the same thing and expecting a different result. That's madness. Well, I think I'll swallow this broken glass. Okay, you survived. Well, maybe this time I'll just eat a light bulb. Maybe it'll be different. Yeah, maybe it will. That is what makes us grow. Those kinds of questions I don't answer, because those are individual questions that people must be responsible for. You learn to flow. In the body, if you get a clot, it's called an embol. If it's in the arteries, it's called an arterial embolism. If it's in the pulmonary system, it's a pulmonary embolism. If it's in the brain, it's called a stroke. Okay. What these are dams that keep the flow from happening. If the flow, which is the law, does not happen, if the flow does not happen to that part of the body, what happens? It dies. If the flow of the energy of a human being does not happen, it dies. Its consciousness dies long before its body dies. And it becomes this. You become a vampire. A vampire is the undead. He's walking around dead, but he ain't quite dead yet. He didn't lie down yet. Okay. It's like when my sister called me and somebody, the word had traveled up from the south that I was dead. And she called me, I was asleep. She said, oh my God. They told me you were dead. And I said, that's funny. I thought I was just taking a nap. I didn't know I had died yet. Well, they're undead, you know. We think we're just taking a nap when we are dead. Nobody told us, okay. Emotionally or consciously, and we're dead. We don't move. We don't grow. We're not fluid. We're not flowing. And that's going to cause some pain. Change always causes pain, because it's letting you know the artery of your flow is blocked. Now you have to let it open and accept the inevitable, the truth about that situation. And move as the flow would take you to the next part of your life. Flow. A child an infant is born. Spring. A child grows as spring grows and moves from the season of spring. And all of a sudden, starts to get hot. Moves into adolescence. The sexual energy starts to rise, moves into the summer of life. It's a flow. Now what that child has to do is has to accept that flow. You see, many children, and all of us went through this, when that flow starts to happen, the resistance in us, because we've been children, we become, you know how teenagers are. You remember how you were. Oh, disgusting creatures. You move. Then a funny thing happens when fall sets in. You were all Miss Hottie and Mr. Wonderful and all that. All of a sudden your testicle starts to hang lower. You know, wait a minute, what's going on here? Your butt starts to drop, your breast starts to sag. Mom Mabley said, a friend of hers came to her and said, I want to commit suicide. How should I do it? She said, you raise your left breast and shoot yourself in the chest. Shoot yourself. She said, no, that fool shot herself in the knee. Things start to shift. The flow is happening. It's a different flow. It moves. Now, here you are in the fall of life. Are you resisting that fall of life? If you resist it, you're in trouble. You're in big trouble, because it's going to flow on regardless of what you say, do, how you think about it, what you want to do. You can go to the doctor and he can get some spackle and spackle that stuff up. I was looking at Joan Rivers, who now looks like Madam. Remember Madam the puppet?
Oh my God.
She's all smooth, but she moves like me. See, you can deal with the facade. But the reality is, it goes on. So no matter what you try to do, the flow continues, and you must accept the flow. The flow of life. You're now in your 40s, 50s, and 60s. The flow has changed. Ladies, you notice the flow has changed because you no longer have a certain flow in a certain regular way. The flow has changed. All of a sudden now you enter the winter of life. You're in your 70s, you're in your 80s, and stuff that made sense to you in your 20s and in your 30s, you go, nah. But you have to accept it. The flow of life. The law is flow. Anytime you stop the flow, you die. The movement from one place to another. The flow can be over rapids. It can be smooth. It can sit in pools and move slowly. It is still flowing until you dam it. When you dam it, you're looking at stroke. You're looking at embolism, whether it's energy, blood, air, whether you look out at the planet, whether that is the water of the planet, whether that is the air of the planet, the space surrounding the planet. It all must flow. That is the law. Now, there's a relationship. How do I come to that relationship? Shh. Be quiet. Stop trying to hold on and let go. Not giving up. Just let go and be here now. Totally here now. In this moment, all things pass through you right here, right now. All things flow through you right here, right now. What is missed, what is gone, what is coming, in all manner of ways. What is, not just in the line of reality that you see, but the line of reality that is next to this one and next to that one. You have the capacity. You have the capacity. It's being quiet and hearing it. Being quiet. Listening. What does that mean? And you don't have to call Ananda and say, well, Ananda, this happened. What does that mean? That's the question for you to answer. Answer it. Listen to it. How simple could that be? Oh, I see. You can say, Ananda, is this on the right? Yeah. Or no. Go back, try it again. Right on the blackboard, I will not talk to myself 1,000 times. It's okay. If you resist that instruction because you have a thing in you that thinks people are trying to control you and trying to control your life, then you are interfering with the flow of the exchange of communications between you and I. I'm always going to try to help that flow. That's my job. That is my function. That is my purpose. That's what I do. I'm not the preacher that's going to be driving the Rolls Royce or wearing a $1,000 suit or any of that, because that is not my goal. One goal, one flow. So we have to learn how to flow. You have to learn how to be in the flow so that we flow together. And it doesn't matter. Your children, doesn't matter. One of the things you learn about your children, they're children. You're trying to tell them, well, see, I want you to understand because I've been there. Doesn't matter. They haven't been there. And only when they get smacked will they go, oh, this is what you were trying to tell me. Well, yeah. Well, why don't you tell me more? Nope. You waited until I got into the fall of my life. I no longer care about your life. You say, well, that's cold. No. It's just the truth. I can't do that with you. I'm not going to do that with you. You've learned the important lesson. And the important lesson that you've learned is you make mistakes, learn from them, and move on. Stop projecting that out onto everyone else. Because the moment you do that, you cannot deal with your own flow. With your own flow. Stay within. It's about you. People will ask me the question, but what about so-and-so, Joe so-and-so? Well, Joe so-and-so ain't your business. Your only business is you. Because there's nothing Joe so-and-so is doing that can affect you, because whatever Joe so-and-so does, you don't know why they did it. So all you can do is deal with the lie within your own head, because you don't know. That's all. That's all. That's all there is to it. I accept this. I accept my role in my life, because my life is all I can know. And the flow that is within me is the flow that is in everything in the physical universe and everything within the consciousness of humanity, within the consciousness of being. Therefore, flow is the order of the day within that you call God. There is the truth. We live with it. We live with it. We accept it. And we move forward. There is nothing. There's no place that I come to that I must stay in the same way. No place I come to that I must stay in the same way. Now, when I come to this place, doesn't mean I can't stay. As I see and as I understand, the way that I'm there is going to change. You all have had these hot relationships. Oh boy, when you first meet up, you can't get enough of each other. 5 years later, you've had too much of each other. Well, nothing has changed except you and how you view what's happening, how you view the energy flow. So it's about you. It's about you. Every time we would go into one of these different relationships, everything would be all whoop-de-whoop-de. Haven't you noticed a pattern? It's not about them, it's about you. It's about you. It's not about them. Oh, this person, this guru, this guy, oh, Jesus, oh. One of the things I notice, oh, Jesus, yes. Oh, Muhammad, yes. Oh, Buddha, yes. Well, wait a minute. If it's about these people, if one of them is right, then why is the others getting the same result? Maybe it's not Buddha. Maybe it's not Muhammad. Maybe it's not Jesus. Maybe it's you. Maybe what you're feeling is because you have opened yourself to you. One of the things I've tried to do, I've tried to stay away from that crap. Because my idea is to present a matter of what is true. Okay? It is true. I am different. It is true that I am different in the way of Jesus. I am different in the way of Moses. I'm different in the way of Muhammad. I'm different in the way of Buddha. And I'm different in the way of a whole lot of folks. In some instances, I'm just strange. Okay. Okay. Now, there's a point to this. The point to this is that this age is different. What I have to point you to is yourself.